Quicker than a railway, things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court and give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Gumbo Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news.
Welcome to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. How you doing, man?
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cory V.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh, yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
Yes, sir.
We got more than we can use. We got more than we can handle ourselves. We try to let it flow. Let it flow to the next person.
Yeah. We're proud of you, man.
Thank you.
And we're proud of your son.
Thank you.
You're watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
Business six hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse, dropping wisdom like Hova. Each word a joke. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to gains. Donnie the narrator, truth runs in veins. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news. Donnie Glover Show, be more news.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. Listen, we have a wonderful talk coming up with Senator Cory McCray out of the 45th District in East Baltimore. Of course, some years ago, he founded Best Democratic Club. Instead of being a part of what was some of the more established groups being a part of that, he decided to get some younger people together, and he built a machine, and that machine has produced some productive people straight out of East Baltimore. A member of the Senate since January 9th, 2019, Deputy Majority Whip from beginning in 2020, member of the Budget and Taxation Committee. Back in 2019, they handled pensions, the Pension Subcommittee, the Procurement Subcommittee, also chair of Public Safety, Transportation, and Environment Subcommittee going back to 2020. And I probably could read that all damn day, and it's a lot of them to read. So let's just bring the man up, bust up into East Baltimore up in the 45th District. Senator, how are you, sir?
Hey, Donnie, always glad to be with you, man. Been too long.
You have a book out?
Man, I'm excited, man. September 30th is the big day. The apprenticeship that saved my life, Donnie. I could just remember years ago you telling me I needed to put that puzzle together, and I just didn't feel comfortable or really feel like I knew how, but like it always was in me. And I'm just excited, Donnie. I'm excited. I felt like I was trying my best to get closer to some level of purpose. So I think it's the right moment that I'm standing in. I got 20 years of knowledge capture, not just growing up in the city of Baltimore, but giving folks a fundamental understanding of blueprint, a guidebook in reference to apprenticeships, and being able to speak with authority in reference to why did I go and choose the apprenticeship route. But more importantly, like what was some of the benefits? What would these counselors, what would the parents, what would the mentors, what would the teachers, what's the information that I would be able to share with them?
Are apprenticeships always paid?
So the apprenticeship that I went through started out at $12 an hour. One of the reasons why I couldn't believe it was because not only did it start out $12 an hour, I did not need to know anything about electrical work, but then the next year I made 15. The next year I made 18, all the way up until after 5 years of that apprenticeship program, I was making $32 an hour. So to be able to clearly lay out what the wage structure will be. So to answer your question very directly, any registered apprenticeship is supposed to be an earn while you learn opportunity. There's some level of schooling. I went to school one day every 2 weeks, but every other day outside of those 2 weeks, I was on a job site making money. And I actually got paid to go to school too. I should acknowledge that.
This is baseball season, and I have a knuckleball that I got to throw down the pipeline. You're not going to like it. It's an ugly question, but I got to throw it.
Yep.
You are a member of the largest black caucus in the country.
Uh-huh.
We live in a state with our first black governor.
Yes, sir.
Why did I assume that all of that political power meant that Baltimore City and Prince George's County's public school systems, both at the bottom of the heap? Why did I think that because we have more black political power than ever before? See, you can spread this out between 188 other people, including the governor. Mm-hmm. But why wasn't reversing that downward spiral of Baltimore and Prince George's public schools a top priority?
Let me be clear, Donnie. As a father of 4 children, public school education is always a top priority for me. I just want to acknowledge that while folks may talk about it, I'm investing the greatest gifts that I have, and that's matriculating throughout the education process. Let me be clear that they all thrive within our public school education system. And that's because I'm able to complement that with outside resources, such as recreation and also the tutoring piece of it. I'm a full staunch supporter of the blueprint for Maryland, because I think that it's making the investments that's necessary for our young people to be successful, whether that's in English as a second language, whether that's in concentration of poverty, whether that's in the CTE program, whether it's in just making sure that our educators are making the resources or the wage that they are supposed to be making. So the 5 pillars for the blueprint for Maryland's future, I'm all in for every year that I've been in there. And at the end of the day, like, these are structural systems. These are systems that have been in place before I was even born. And I would say, are we where we are supposed to be with Baltimore education? No, we're not. But at the end of the day, are we trending in the right direction? I would say yes, that we are.
What piece of legislation were you most proud of in this recent session?
I'll speak to Senate Bill 295, which is where Dr. Carmen Johnson had reached out to my office. She was formerly incarcerated. She had an issue with her taxes. They were charging her penalties and accruing interest while she was actually incarcerated. Most people would say, how can you pay taxes, or why are you paying penalties and interest while you're incarcerated? But at the end of the day, it's a piece of that was in our Maryland statute. Unfortunately, like, there are a number of barriers that are baked inside of statutes. So one of the things that we did was we worked with the comptroller's office. We worked with the cash campaign. We worked with Dr. Johnson, who brought the legislation to me, to be able to pass a bill where no one in the state or federal penal system that's incarcerated will now pay any type of interest, any type of penalties on there. I'll go into one more part that I was and this is a budget issue. I sit on the budget committee, one of 13 members in the Maryland State Senate for a $60+ billion budget. So, Donnie, one of the things in the BRFA, which is the Budget Reconciliation Finance Act, was a bill that I had passed the previous year. Bills that you passed the previous year are not funded that year. They're funded the next year, the next fiscal cycle. So I've been in Achievement Academy. So I only bring this up because you brought up education. So I was in Achievement Academy. I try my best to stay in one of our schools at least once a week. I'm in Achievement Academy, and I asked the young scholars, if you were senator for a day, what would you change about your school? One of the young scholars said that they would add driver's ed to their high school. And I walked out of that building. I stood in front of the building for a while. It's the old Northern High School. And I said, that ain't rocket science. They should have driver's ed within their respective school. And when I went through that apprenticeship program, there was only a couple requirements: that I was 18 years of age, that I had a high school diploma or GED, 1 year of algebra. The final one was that you had to have a driver's license. We went in that session and we were able to bring those young scholars from Achievement Academy, make the case in front of the Senate, in front of the House, be able to get $2 million in perpetuity. So that's forever inside of the budget. It was slated to be cut, and I had to fight for it not to be cut. So I basically passed this bill twice, last year and this year, but making sure that it didn't get, and it got taken out of the BRFA. It's now there. It's going into implementation, working with MSDE, Maryland State Department of Education, to make sure that we have full implementation. And this goes towards schools that have a concentration of poverty level of at least 40%, which is pretty much all of Baltimore City schools.
I don't know if you saw the promo for tonight's show, but it has in the backdrop a site that you and I are unfortunately so familiar with. You were standing in front of a vacant house. How is your fight against vacants in the 45th coming?
Man, you know what, Donnie, when I think about like what is it that you're trying to accomplish and what is your goal for the 45th district, what can people speak to? I want to say that I grew my district. I want to say that the population has shifted and trended in the right way in my district. And
everybody moving in Northeast.
And one of the things is the last census, you'll find that people in the city of Baltimore were moving out in droves, and they only were gaining in Bill Ferguson's district, which is the 46th legislative district. And some folks may call it the White L. So it's the stuff by the water, Cherry Hill, from there. But I've been intimately paying attention to the development and making sure that I move the needle in my district. I can speak about Bramble and the apartment student housing that was just opened up on Harford Road. I can speak to the work that's going on in the 400 block of East Biddle Street, where we just did teacher housing, but more importantly, we're bringing the first library in decades to East Baltimore. I can speak to the work that's happening right down there with Dan and Dana Henson in the Somerset footprint in Old Town. I can speak to what's going on in the 4x4, where we have several $1 million on just 4 streets: Lindale, Emily, Elmora, and Ravenwood, working with 3 nonprofits. We got St. Ambrose, Habitat for Humanity, and we got Knee-High Northeast Housing Initiative. But we're also growing up out Black minority developers that are also trying to get in the game, like Marcus Walker with a strong foundation, and showing them how do you take stake in your own city. And he's doing it 3 or 4 homes at a time. So he's not doing it at the scale of 30, 40 a clip, but he is making sure that he can figure out the state process, things of that nature. I could also speak to Orchard Ridge, which we know is the old Freedom Way, and the work that's happening in the 4th phase over there with Habitat for Humanity. So when you think about vacants, I hope that when we do the next census, that folks will say in Northeast and East Baltimore, Cory McCray did his job.
One of the challenges we face here in Sandtown, and we have a fledgling community association. A lot of people died off. A lot of people moved away. So we kind of starting all over again. Mm-hmm. As you are the state senator of the 45th district, how do you manage the dealing with the multiplicity of nonprofits that often come to Black communities claiming to want to help?
Yep. So one of the things that I think about, Donnie, is that I move in a space of excellence. And I need everyone else, whether that's governmental agencies or that's our outside partners, to move in the same level of excellence, because that's the expectation. That's the level of accountability that our constituents have for us. At the end of the day, they don't want to hear performative measures. They want to see tangibles. So when we speak to, I can show them Somerset and say, y'all see what's happening down there. We can go to Johnson Square. You can see what's happening down there. You can go to the Harford Road corridor. You can see what's happening down there. Even with Marcus Walker with 2307 Bel Air Road, the house that he just came off of, you can see what's happening down there. So when we think about that piece of it, I'm always emailing and letting them level set my expectations. So I'm letting them know, here's my expectation. The other thing that I challenged that I've seen in the city, developers were telling us where they wanted to do development at. We don't let in the 45th district, we tell them, hey, here's where the concentration happened. Here's where the historical disinvestment has taken place. So we need to move in this space. And I'll speak to some of that. Let's take Dolly Park right there at Harford, Normal, Harford and Dolly, Harford and 25th. Like that community has not seen investment in it in decades, Donnie. So only thing that we've been able to do was the Gateway Park. So if you drive past, you see the Gateway Park. But what we're doing is we're organizing. We're organizing state money and local resources from that standpoint. So we have Victor over there. We now have Marcus over there. We're combining folks. We've come up with the plan and we're building from our strengths. I know that Morgan just acquired the Lake Clifton campus. And one of the things is like, I needed Morgan at there because I needed to anchor that space where Chum, 4x4, Bel Air Edison, and Dolly Park are all around that Clifton Park space and will benefit from Morgan being right there and then start setting up those pieces. But go back to your question about the nonprofits and how do you manage that piece of it. Donnie, I'm going to say they know my expectation. I hold them to the same high standard that I hold myself, but they're not dictating what the rules are going to be. We have the money, we have the resources, so we kind of tell them, here's where our priorities are.
Give me a success story, 45th district.
Man, I'm telling you, this one right here make me so proud, Donnie. This one make me so proud. There's this man by the name of Mr. Thorpe. Mr. Thorpe has been teaching young Black folks how to swim for decades. Before Mr. Thorpe was teaching them, his father was teaching them. So they've been doing this combined for 60 plus years, been teaching young folks a life skill. Mr. Thorpe said that he was looking for a space to have a swim facility. I said, Mr. Thorpe, I don't know why you're looking too hard. We would love to have you in the 45th district. So, Donnie, one of the things that I think about with Mr. Thorpe, not only, and Mr. Thorpe, he's a phenomenal, like the teaching people how to swim is he got that locked down. He needed help in the development space. And what we did was we found him several acres right there at Walter Northern Parkway. So for folks that are thinking about it, it's the Family Dollar, it's the apartments, and it's where Northern Parkway bottoms out at. Behind there was a city-owned lot, 3+ acres that Mr. Thorpe will have. Not only did we help him find the property, we went in the state government and then secured money for him. So he was $750 in last year's budget, $450 in this budget, so that Black folks can have ownership. So we can actually own something from that standpoint. And now what you'll see on the Board of Estimates September 4th is that he'll be acquiring that land that we're discussing at this moment. And Donnie, I can't tell you how proud I am because this is so hard to put puzzles like that together. And I'm going to lift up my man Mansour. Mansour is the development arm, been helping Mr. Thorpe, holding his hand, making him feel confident to let him know that this is possible, that we can do this, and that he's not standing by himself. He has the community anchored, trying our best to make sure that we're building something, not for 1 year, not for 5 years, but hopefully for the next 60 years or another 60 years to come.
I can remember a time when people like Dr. Marie Washington and Senator Nathaniel McFadden were front and center running things. Today, there's a Senator Cory McCray and a Cheryl Washington. What do you see coming behind you?
So when I
first
think
tell me about Cheryl. I mean, let's qualify Cheryl. Is she the goods?
Yeah. So one of the things that I'll say is that McFadden, I just talked to him about 2-3 hours ago. So I talked to my senator probably at least once every other week from that standpoint, because folks still reach out to him, Donnie. You will be surprised. Folks still reach out to him.
I'm not surprised. I am warmed hearing this again. And this is not the first time. And I'm not living in the past. But I watched the fight today. I watched George Foreman knock out Joe Frazier. and it was just one of them uppercuts, and it wasn't the same. It was painful for him to let go because he had put in so much time. But what's more beautiful is how he has evolved to his next station, and you have evolved to your next station, and you still converse.
Yeah.
We've been doing these shows, and I share with people, we've been talking about Indigenous Americans, and there's a younger generation. I can't crack slick on them, but they can't crack slick on me either. It's a mutual respect. And that's where you and Mac are. And whatever happens after you, this right here that you and he, what you and he have, that's got to continue. Not that they old and I can't talk to them, or they young, because we see it. You've heard it. Yep. We've heard it from both angles. Young people won't listen. Old people won't listen. Well, we're here to listen. Help me out.
Yeah, I'm a touch on what you just said. Then I'll go to EBDI. So one of the things is that when any of those that are senior of me, I don't care whether it's Nathaniel Irby, I don't care if it's Tiger Davis, I don't care if it's Jack Young, whoever it is, I'm gonna pick the phone up and I'm gonna figure out how to address the issue that they have, because these folks have put in too much work and I have that responsibility now that I hold that torch. So like it's nothing, it's clear that it's nothing but respect, because at the end of the day, our people are too injured, our people are too hurt, and I cannot do this by myself. I need my elders to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction, that I'm moving and being thoughtful, and that I actually have direction, because they've already seen it, they've already done it, they know what the mistakes are, and we'll go from there. The EBDI piece, man, it's always been somewhat frustrating. You got to remember, I've been in office for 10 plus years, Donnie, and my frustration is that when I talk about that level of excellence and that standard, I'm talking about tangibles. So folks can point to stuff that Cory McCray did. You go through the 400 block East Middle Street, you say he did that. You look at Fairleigh and the new elementary school that we cut the ribbon for about a month and a half ago. I know a lot of folks will take credit for it, but we did that. When you think about like Somerset and helping Danny and Dan, like we did that. So like there are a number of tangibles that you go through in our district in the last 10 years and you say he had his hand on that. The challenge for me is that I put in a ton of work on this EBDI and I can't see a parcel where it's been a ribbon cutting and also a groundbreaking. So a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting. I've done a couple groundbreakings. So we've set some foundation. Khalil and Jason just did a groundbreaking. Phase 2B with my man Ron Lipscomb and Larry Jennings will have their groundbreaking. We just did one on the infrastructure project. We'll have a groundbreaking. Parcel M was Larry Jennings and then phase 2B was the infrastructure project. But all that to say is that people have expectations of me, but more importantly, I have expectations of myself. So in 10 years, this is where I will say I fell short at, because when I don't see the tangibles, that's on me. And I'm going to push as hard as I can to produce. And I have to make sure that I produce with the partners that I have. That's EBDI under Cheryl Washington. That's the city of Baltimore under Mayor Scott. And that's myself. And I don't care if nobody else want to say what's at fault, but I'm always going to hold myself accountable. So my frustration, Donnie, is that we have not met the moment in that respective footprint in reference to the deliverables that community deserve. But I tell you, and rest assured that each and every night that I'm thinking about how do you progress in that footprint and trying to hold not just myself, but everybody around it accountable.
Tell me a person in the legislature that you admire.
I like my guy Charles Sidnor. Now, know that we all have different features. So like Sidnor is a lot more subtle, because folks will say, Cory, push. Like I push, like you're gonna feel my presence. But at the end of the day, I love that not only is he a husband to his wife Myra, not only is he a father to his 3 daughters, but I've watched how he loves Polly, his institution pot. Like the guy is all in. And like, when I think of an epitome of a good man, I think of a Sidnor will always be in that category. I look at my big brother, Antonio. Donnie, you know this. I was rough around the edges when I got in the House of Delegates. So, like, I never been in government. I never stepped in Annapolis before being elected. So I never been in even one of these chambers. So, like, a lot of the stuff that was happening, I wasn't familiar with because I'm from Baltimore City. So some of the things that they would do, and I needed to figure out, like, how do I move with a certain amount of acumen, because these guys aren't throwing punches. What they're doing is they're writing a signature. They're leaving you out of certain rooms, things of that nature. And that's what I had to figure out very quickly. But it was my brother, big brother Antonio, who was helping me see the board, because he had worked for Salima Marriott. He had worked for Sheila Dixon. He had worked for the party. So he had already been familiar with how these spaces operate and help me navigate a number of these spaces when he had saw local state government already.
All right, so tell us about the real superhero in this whole story of Cory McCray, and I'm not talking about your mom.
Oh man, that's the first thought that came to me. That's the first thought that came.
No, we leave our mothers and cling to our wives. Tell me about the boss lady.
Well, the boss, I've known her since I was 17 years of age. She's an educator. At the end of the day, like, when I think about, like, how do you keep a household together? How am I able to do half the stuff or a quarter of the stuff, all of the stuff that I'm doing? It would not be without the phenomenal wife that I have in Demetria. She keeps the house grounded. She makes sure that our children are successful, make sure that I'm successful. And, like, I think about just having that continuity, and a number of folks are missing that continuity. But the reason why I am is because of how she's poured into me and how we pour into each other.
They say those who have been to the darkest depths of hell can best appreciate the limitless heights of heaven.
That's powerful.
What does that mean to you?
Donnie, there were moments in my life where I felt like I was at the lowest of the low. And I think I take advantage and understand the importance of each and every minute, especially as I get older, and, like, how important this moment is, because we're not given a lot of moments. So when you give time to these systems, you have a different perspective, because you can see the board a little bit more clear. So I tell folks, young folks, like, what is the greatest asset that they have? I tell them it ain't money, it ain't clothes, it ain't cars, it's time. What do you do with your time? How do you spend your time? Who do you spend your time with? Now, I'm very intentional. I'm very locked in, because I have a certain, it's not an infinity. You don't have 24 hours and 1 extra minute. You have 24 hours. You're sleeping for a period of time, but you have to figure out, like, how are you being the most productive? What is the legacy that you are leaving? How do you want folks to remember you? And and I always think about, especially with my children, did I raise good human beings? It's the most important job that I have.
Does social media worry you when it comes to our children's use of it, where it's going?
So I'm gonna say this as a father. So, like, with my daughters, they probably didn't get cell phones until they were in middle school, like they were in 7th or 8th grade. And we just gave the 11-year-old a cell phone because he's at a school building by himself. So it's none of his other siblings. But one of the things that I try to monitor is what is the screen time that they're spent on. All my kids have played sports. And what happens is the sports then help them not to be in front of the TV screen, in front of some type of video game. So my oldest played tennis. My 11th grader, she played everything. Right now, she's playing flag football. They just started girls flag football last year, and she's playing flag football. My 11-year-old plays basketball. He plays football. This is his first year tackle football with the Eastside Raiders. And then the young one, he's playing tennis and he's playing basketball too. But what happens is I bring this up because this helps limit that video, helps limit that social media, helps limit that phone time, because this stuff is addictive. These folks have programs to make sure that they're trapping our young folks, not everybody else's young folks, but our young folks, into making things seem like that is normal. That's not normal. That's not the way it should be. So yes, I am concerned. I do feel like I manage my own household to the best of our ability. But at the end of the day, like, we have to figure out some level of a platform for these young folks across not just the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, in this country.
In that same realm, does AI concern you?
AI, as a leader, I always have to think about like things that are next. So I don't want to say it concerns me like we had pagers and now we're using cell phones. So I don't want to be that guy. At the end of the day, like we need to figure out like how can we get in on the front end of this thing? How can we educate ourselves? How can we learn from this? Because this isn't leaving us, Donnie. This is going to be here, and we can act like it don't exist and get stuck behind, or we can understand the process and make sure that we're moving with it.
Now I'm going to ask you to share right now.
Mm-hmm.
We got some young people out here who are running for in next year's primary, their first election.
Mm-hmm.
We got some people who have been in the mix. I'm thinking about the 41st.
Mm-hmm.
Any advice? And I know I'm giving you 2 minutes because you'd probably tell them they should have started a damn Best Democratic Club or something to that effect. But considering where people are, check this out. Young man comes up to me. I will not say his name. But well, I'm 60. I guess he's 20, between 27 and 30, 32.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt sorry for him. I really wanted to sit him down and just like give him that whole Best Democratic Club experience in 2 minutes, but it don't work like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I think J.D. Howard, and I'm gonna pass you the ball. J.D. Howard, photographer extraordinaire, said you can't teach what you don't know. You can't rule where you don't go. So when I see a cat show up at the cookout, I'm just thinking, why are you here? Who are you? Where you been at? Why are you just getting here? You're not talking about the next election, are you? Surely you jest. Any advice for the young people running for office? And I'm talking about younger people, because you up there now. You're an elder.
It's crazy, but I look at Antonio. I look at a number of my colleagues and be like, the senior senator. It is funny. It is hilarious when folks will say it, but 10 years into this space.
But look at y'all. Look at you and Antonio, Sidnor, Mary. Dude, when I see y'all, I think of Clarence Mitchell III and that crew back then. It was only 11 of them. But Bear was like you. Bear was a man's man. You ain't got to do a whole bunch of guessing. He's straight, no chaser. You know what it is. Yeah. And they went to Annapolis to deliver. You, Antonio, I know that about you two. I am so proud of you and Antonio.
My advice to them, and I say this because a number of them will come, and I speak to like the hard races. Last cycle, I didn't have nobody run against me, and I think it's because they don't want to work this hard. The thing that I would say, Donnie, is they have to understand what sacrifice is, because every tough election, I had a set amount of time. The House of Delegates was 18 months. The Maryland State Senate was 9 months, where I gave up my life. I gave up my life, Donnie. I didn't spend time with my wife. I didn't have my kids were young when I ran for the Senate and very young for the House. But like I sacrificed spending time with them. The work piece, like you have to have a stable career at this point that gives you the flexibility, because you're going to need that, especially in these tough races. I know that folks want to go to the movies. I know they want to go bowling. All that's out the window. For a set amount of time, you can do nothing but talk to people. I'm talking about knocking on doors. I'm talking about writing letters. I'm talking about making phone calls. I'm talking about raising money. So I'm talking about organizing events. Like there is so much, and this is the hard races. The easy races where you can win, but like that's what they need to be thinking about. Are they willing to make that level of a sacrifice? Because that's what you mentally have to figure out. If you're not willing to make that level of a sacrifice, I say, hey, this is not the moment. This is not the time. From there.
As someone who knows you, that's why I must big up your wife, Not that you have ever forgotten that, but I do know anybody come to me want to run for office, that's most important. Your girlfriend, your wife, that she is on board. If she ain't on board,
you're looking at a divorce. You're looking at a divorce because folks, folks don't understand that.
I do.
Yeah, so that's what I try to center them and get them to understand. The other piece is that there are moments where you're going to have the mental discipline. You're going to be running into all types of people because you're walking towards it. This is what you're inviting. This is what you're asking for. And you have to mentally be prepared to understand what does that look like. Because if you're not getting sleep, if you're not getting rest, if you're not eating right, like these are things that can catch you off guard. You can find yourself in a situation that you really can't get out of from that standpoint. And then the other stuff is just more structural. Have you ever worked for a campaign? Do you know how to organize? Do you know how to keep notes? Do you keep records of the people that you actually talk to? Are you rating people? Are these my supporters? Are these people in between? Are these people against me? Because every election that we went for on election day, I felt very comfortable saying, no, we did our job. Like, here's where our supporters are. And once you identified your supporters, then you have to run a get out the vote campaign. So now you've identified them. Now, how do you turn them out? Some folks are going to come out, but I've been in moments where good friends or good family members, I look up and they love me, but they just didn't participate in the process. And you got that responsibility to knock and drag them out to make sure that they're doing it by writing, whether they're doing it by early voting, whether they're doing it on election day, but it has to happen. And if they are not setting up that infrastructure, what I see so many times is folks will say they want to do something, but they don't know how to start the engine. So then they're scared. They don't know what to do. And then eventually the engine starts, but then it's too late. So you can't take 6 months to start the car. You can't take 6 months to warm the car up and keep talking about what you want to do.
Because your opponent is running full speed.
The real ones is running. The real ones is like, and what happens is you got to remember every day that you're not out there, because I don't think nobody can outwork me. Every day that you're not out there, all I'm doing is compounding, and eventually it's a point where you can't catch me. If you let me get 6 months on, you'll never catch me from there because I got 6 months in front of it, and I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna do everything you're gonna do, but I just got 6 months in front of it. So they have to understand those types of dynamics, and I'm not sure in this climate that there are many people that know what that takes. And I tell folks, like, I only got like 1 or 2 good ones up in me because it's like you lose something every election, like it takes something out of you. So you also have to pace yourself and know, am I ready for this fight? Some of them I say, hey, I'm focused on this and recognize that I only got so many bullets. I can only fight so many fights. So I'll say, hey, I'm gonna settle with that one. I'm gonna go do this one from there. And I just try to give folks that advice. I don't care if you're friend or foe, I still give you the same advice.
Where did this political mastermind come from?
I think that it's over times of the knowledge capture. I love organizing. I love like building for my people. I know what community building look like. But like, how do you get a team? Like you have to have a team of people that's of the right mindset that understand that you have to work as a collective and then being able to give and share that information. And we see it all throughout the city council. You gotta remember, Chris Burnett was my campaign manager. If you looked at my first picture when I knocked for the House of Delegates, Danielle, she was on the campaign. Jermaine was on the campaign. Brandon was helping me. Like we really had a lot of fun, but more importantly, they saw the level of discipline and energy that it took to actually win.
That was for a delegate spot.
That was when we were running for delegate. That was early on, Donnie. That was back in, I'm talking about 2012, 2013.
Did you picture yourself where you are now?
Not at all. Not at all. And that's what I love about it is that and this is what I tell my young people, I don't want you to reach for what you can see. I need you to reach for what you can't even imagine. I never saw myself in this position. I never saw myself as this level of leadership for our city. I never saw myself bringing back the tangibles that I see that we just been talking about for the last half an hour. Like
but you never doubted it either.
I ain't doubt it. I know that I have a work ethic and I know I have a love for my city. But at the end of the day, like things in Annapolis don't just happen. You have a governor and you have 187 colleagues. So they also have to have a certain level of respect for you to have, because folks will say, well, I work hard too. I'm strategic too, but you also have to have that cultivation of relationships to be able to get things done.
So what do you attribute your success to?
I think it's the work ethic, it's the love for the city, but I've also cultivated the relationship with my colleagues where it's a mutual level of respect from that standpoint, not just to get bills passed, but also to get funding coming back to East and Northeast Baltimore.
No, man, that's not it.
What's it then?
God.
You know what? My mom will say, you are so right. Like at the end of the day, we have
you
to.
Said you didn't picture this. So somebody had a plan.
Somebody had the vision.
Somebody prayed for you.
You could think you know, but he actually knows.
I get asked. I was asked that question. What do you dream of? I really don't dream of nothing. I'm a lot like you. I think of it. I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I haven't thought of it, then I'm looking forward to the opportunity of somebody planting a seed that I do think of it. But I've never thought of you as a person with limitations.
You know what? I was talking to the young lady, Tia Hamilton, over there at Urban Reads, and like what she's accomplished. I was like, Tia, I feel like I ain't working hard enough when I stand next to you. But like she kept saying it, like, Cory, they put us in boxes and I ain't in nobody's box. I don't see no limitations. And like, I'm in that spirit now, especially even with the book. The book, I couldn't imagine. It took me 3 years. Let me be clear. I had to figure it out. It took me 3 years. But at the end of the day, to be able to see the cover, to be able to get a hard copy of the book, like it's a surreal type of feeling, but I kept going until I got there.
You have read some doo-doo books in your time. You've seen some books by some people and you're like, I know you did. You sound like, I can do better than this. All right, you ain't gonna admit that because that's not political. I know you did. You like, I can do that. But anyway, I'm glad you got the first one done. September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's the name of it?
The Apprenticeship That Saved My Life.
It has a ring to it. As you mentioned, at my first newspaper gig, they told me that I could get the job, but I had to volunteer first. And that's so important to me. And I don't know if you get into that in your book. I meet so many younger people, and I'm not talking down or bad about younger people. If there's a way I could convey to them, nobody owes you nothing.
Right.
If you want it, you got to go and get it.
You got to.
And if you have somebody like a Senator McCray who is willing to help you, yes, get the help.
Yeah.
But also understand the bigger picture. That one day you got to help somebody too.
Yep. You got to reach that hand back. I'm blessed now, man, where I have a number of mentors. I consider yourself, the Joe Haskins, the Theo Rogers, the Tony Drapers. It's called.
Joe sent me this book.
He just gave me that one too. He just gave me that.
I think he got stock in this.
But it's so many.
Wasn't that a wonderful gift? A bank president sent me a book.
It is. It's a
That's
dope
big stuff.
Yeah. Just to even be able to spend time with him, a CEO of a bank. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty cool opportunity where I know that I got access and that I can reach out for advice. But I know that a number of the reasons why I'm here is because of relationships with folks like the Marches, Annette and Eric March, like so many folks, Dr. Martin over there at the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, so many folks that pour into me each and every day, just trying to make sure that I have the knowledge capture, the insight to know what we've been through, why we're fighting, and why we need to keep going.
So you like sitting on, who do you like in Prince George's County? Who is doing the damn thing in Prince George's County? First name that comes to mind.
My guy, Nick Charles. I love watching Nick. Well, I love Melanie Griffith. Let me be clear. My Senate President pro temp, she's left us, but like Melanie was like a mentor. Her office was right next door to mine, Donnie, and I always felt like she was my age, but at the end of the day, I could have been a son from that standpoint. But she was such a hard worker. She led for our people in a way that was just in a space of excellence. And she just poured into each and every one of us in that legislature. So if I had to say, one of my favorite would definitely be Melanie Griffith. I think that Augustine, I think that my guy Alonzo Wash and Nick Charles, obviously Melanie lead the front. That y'all know that. But I definitely think that they got some good rock stars up there in Prince George's that we compare notes for and make sure that we win for both jurisdictions.
Okay. Well, were you able to go up to Martha's Vineyard?
No, I've never been to Martha's Vineyard.
Well, everybody's been talking about the trip.
Yeah,
I've never been.
Well, we in the same club then, Donnie. I just been working tirelessly on the book. The 4 kids, like one of the things that I realize is that life is about access and experience. So like during the summer times, I'm trying my best to make sure that my young folks in my house have the greatest level of access, the greatest level of exposure. And what does something like that mean? Kennedy, she just left for school. But one of the things that Kennedy did last year was she interned in Ivan Bates's office. And when I was saying, Kennedy, like you're a high schooler when you're around people that are in law school or in their 3rd or 4th year of college. This year, she actually interned with Judge Jones. And I say that because she wants to be a lawyer. And I want her to be in spaces of excellence where the legal profession is moving and say, hey, I want to do this or I want to do that. So I need her to be exposed to even see what it's like. So that way she can then say, here's the direction that I want to go in the legal profession from that standpoint. We did the same thing for my daughter Reagan. She was on the campus of Morgan. I messed with her because she came home with a science jacket looking like Doc McStuffins. But she was actually learning about STEM and things of that nature. And the boys, they did chess camp. They did basketball camp. They did a number of different things. They did tutoring all summer, so there was no summer loss. So they were doing their reading and their math. But like that's what I'm intimately in is making sure that their progression, that their development is being cultivated. Because if I had to do it over, what I know now, so I know a certain amount of information, and that's what I'm trying my best to do.
There was a drummer from Baltimore who had scoliosis. He was a part of the Harlem Renaissance. He was a drummer, and his name was Chick Webb. It is my understanding that something phenomenal is happening. The brother, his name escapes me. His face is right there.
Ronald Miles.
That's it, Mr. Miles.
My guy.
Tell me about Ronald Miles. And I'm so glad that I'm not the state senator, because that man would have made me give him a Chick Webb Center years ago. Tell me about the tenacity and why it's important.
Yeah, I just want to lean in and say that Ronald Miles is East Baltimore royalty, and I'm gonna get to him. But like one of the things that I appreciate is the access and the resources that we're pouring into these young folks. When I think about Chick Webb and the new rec center that's coming there, when I think about Furley and the new rec center that's coming there, when I think about Hazelwood and the new rec center that's coming there, I got 3 new rec centers coming to my district, not just because of Joe Biden, the federal delegation, the ARPA dollars, my mayor, and the state collectively working together to make sure that these young folks know how important they are. Now I'm gonna go to my man, Eastside Royalty, Mr. Ronald Miles. Like he is so dedicated to the development of our people and making sure that we remember our history. Not only has he started a nonprofit around Chick Webb, but he's also made sure that he's held city, state, and federal leaders accountable to make sure that center is actually built. So I know at that ribbon cutting that's coming in the next several weeks that he'll be there front and center, But more importantly, we'll be thanking him for the work that he's put forward and the work that he's done pushing us to make sure that we get there.
He remind me of Willie Ray, Reverend Willie Ray, God rest his soul.
Yep.
Reverend Willie Ray will come up to you in a nightclub while you slow dancing with a girl and give you a flyer.
I do. I'm blessed.
He will pull you up anywhere. Hey, bruh.
Yeah.
He will pull you up anywhere on behalf of Chick Webb in East Baltimore.
Yeah. And he'll be handing you something. Might got a folder for you.
I think he's Reverend Willie Ray's cousin or something.
No, Mr. Miles, he's good people.
There's one piece that you have not touched, and I think it's at the core of your grit, your entrepreneurship. See, running for office, building a Democratic club, building a political club, it's a business. I saw you build it from the ground up as a business. It could have been New Jack City at the Carter. It didn't matter. It's the same energy. I mean, some people use it for bad, but I saw you use it for good. And I saw a lot of people touch. I even saw Mr. Cassell at one of your events.
Oh, yeah. No, that's my man, Mr. Cassell, him and Kurt. The one of the things that I think about, Donnie, is there are a number of folks that want to be elected. If folks had looked me up in the van file 10, 15 years ago, they'll see that I didn't care nothing about politics. I didn't even vote. So like my attitude towards elected officials was they leave me alone, I leave them alone. I was just trying to make some money. But I did question, why did me as a young man, I went through this apprenticeship program. I was now around folks outside of my usual radius, and I was doing similar things that I saw in reference to purchasing homes. So I've been buying homes up and down Bel Road since I was 20 years of age. And what I would do is the wages that I talked to you about, 12 to 15, every year that we would get that raise, I did what I was always taught. I put the money up and reinvested the money. When a lot of my friends were buying Lexuses, Lincolns, and new cars and getting car payments, I would drive my $1,000 car and I would go get a house. I look up, I graduated that apprenticeship at 25 and I had 7 houses and a duplex. And one of the things that I realized, I questioned, why do I have, I'm making a good wage, I have a family, I have assets that I'm investing in, and how do I get more of my peers or more of the people that I grew up with to get across the same finish line that I got across? And Donnie, I say that you could do that a couple ways. I think that we have to teach our community about generational wealth and financial literacy. But the second one is removing arbitrary barriers from politics, from statute and things of that nature. And you do that through politics. So I tell folks that I feel like I'm a unicorn sometimes in these spaces, because when I think about my time, I already know that I'm capable of doing anything. But at the end of the day, while I'm there, I'm going to make it count each and every day. So I could go off and make money, or I can go off and serve my people in a way that I know that I'm lifting the entire community, just not myself and my home from that standpoint. But I also have insight as an entrepreneur to be able to say, this don't make sense. This do make sense. What is the return on investment that we're going to be making for this decision that we have in front of us? And questioning sometimes, is this the best use of our time?
So this brings me to a very important question. You know I love Black business. In the political realm, there's no such thing per se called Black business. It's called MBE. I struggle with MBE. I'm down with Black business all day long, but this MBE thing, well, it started out being for Black people. People like Congressman Perrin Mitchell fought for such legislation after the 68 riots. They had to do some kind of way of opening up opportunities for Black people. But at the end of the day, white women get the majority of these contracts. And so when people come to me, MBE, or, new governor comes in, all these different agencies, hey, Donnie, we want to come on your show and talk about MBE. And then I look at the disparity study, and it seems like the disparity study looks like the one from 10 years ago because it's done every 10 years, I think. Is MBE a joke? for black people?
Here's what I would say. And this is the importance of knowing history, but also the importance of just understanding time. So when you mention Perrin Mitchell, I love reading about elected officials that have done it and did it in the right way. So people that come to mind for me would be Marion Barry, would be Maynard Jackson, would be Harold Washington. A number of these folks were able to make more gains during the 50s, the 60s, the 70s than we were able to make in 2025. And that's unfortunate. So I study and I think about that leadership, but I also think about, like, what am I in control of? In the 45th district, I'm the governor, I'm the mayor, I'm the senator. So, like, I have the ability to have that conversation right here. It's a $60+ billion budget, and there's a portion of that coming to my respective district. So as I laid out with Mr. Thorpe, as I laid out with Marcus Walker, as I laid out with Bramble during the Morgan State University student housing, like,
and I didn't know that Bramble, the guy doing the harbor, did Northwood. I didn't know until we had him on the show. I did not know.
Yep. No, so like he's got his fingerprints on a lot of this different stuff, but like I don't mind working with traditional partners. But what I remind folks is that we're also incorporating and we're building something to make sure that everybody's sitting at that table, not just some people are sitting at that table. And that's what we're doing in the 45th. We're very intentional and we're very focused and making sure that when you think about the work that Cory McCray, if I left here today, I would be proud, Donnie. If y'all said Cory McCray can only have 11 years and he need to show me what he did in those 11 years, I'm going to talk about voting rights. I'll talk about minimum wage. I'll talk about public transportation. I'll talk about so much that we passed over 100 bills. But we're also going to be able to talk about tangible things that's being built. Danny and Dana Henson would say the same thing. We're talking about tangible things that's being built and making sure that this pie is inclusive of folks that need to be sitting at that table. I didn't mention this, but another thing that I'm going to be so proud of is, and they told me it's going to happen in October, when we cut the ribbon on the Nathaniel J. McFadden Learning Play Park right there at Central in Orleans. My guy, he was talking so long at the groundbreaking, but he said, Cory, I want Dunbar's band, I want City's choir. The guy was making the whole itinerary for the ribbon cutting, and we were at the groundbreaking. So, but I'm super excited. It's a $6 million park after the predecessor. And it ain't just McFadden. I'll tell you about another one that we did. The city that came to us, they came to Annapolis and said, hey, we got $2 million gap on a new football stadium, the first public school football stadium that's being built right there over in Clifton Park. And what happens is, this is 3 years ago, I said, I don't have a problem helping y'all find that $2 million. I got one caveat. There's one condition. I said that this is tied to, this stadium has to be named after the first Black state senator in East Baltimore, Robert L. Dalton. So like, how do we preserve these legacies? So they got their $2 million, but there was also
say that name again, Robert
L. Dalton. He's the first Black state senator. Only served one term because Robert Douglas knocked him off. So that in East Baltimore, man, they would have these fights. But so Robert Dalton is the first, and he was in the Chum community. The football stadium is being built in the Chum community. So it was only right that
for those who don't know what Chum is.
Oh, Coldstream, Homestead, and Montebello. My bad. So like that's right there on that Harford Road corridor. But he was the first Community Association president for Chum. He was also the first Black state senator, and I'm so glad, his family is so glad that it's just not a street sign. My man gonna get a whole stadium. So when I think about legacy, not only are we protecting McFadden, they'll speak his name forever. We're also protecting Robert Dalton. They'll say his name forever. Everybody that walk in that football stadium, and that's what we're about in this district, making sure that we're intentional and making sure that we're focused.
Speaking of legacy, my final question is, of your 3 children,
4.
Of your 4 children, who are you nudging into politics?
I don't know what any of them will do. They're a little too young, man. I got 18, 16, 11, and 10, man. So I'm going to make sure that they are good human beings first, and then just try to put them in a space where they can make sure.
Folks, we're not going to get an answer out of him. Any final thoughts? I'm going to give you the screen. Tell the people what you want them to know.
I just want to lean in and say, if it's ever anything that I can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out. My phone number is 410-841-3165. Email address is my name, Cory, Cory. There's a period in the middle. My last name, McCray, at senate.maryland.gov. I answer my own email, so it's me on the other end of it. From that standpoint, I just want to lift up my guy, Donnie Glover, if I can at this moment. Not only has he had an impact on myself, but it's a number of us throughout this city that he's had an impact on the entire city. And Donnie, I just say thank you for what you're doing for the city of Baltimore, amplifying voices that aren't traditionally lifted up and raised at the level in which it should be raised. And the other thing is September 30th, the apprenticeship that saved my life. I hope you'll pick up a copy at any one of your bookstores that you go to.
I remember when I first met you. I remember that first conversation, and I left that knowing. I said, you gonna know his name if anything. Okay, that's Cory McCray. Okay, ooh, it was a union event, and you didn't even plug the union. What is the significance of the union?
You know what? The union has been big in my life. I'm a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 24. And when I think about that apprenticeship program, I always think about the piece where these protections, this wage that I was making, these benefits that I have is and shout out to Sharonda. She said I already pre-ordered. I'm in the building, but all these benefits that I was able to benefit from, I didn't know how they came about being, but it's because people's shoulders that we stand on is why I was making that $12 an hour 20 years ago, and why these young folks are starting out at $22, and I think topping out at $49, $50 right now. From that standpoint, it's those types of things that I've been beneficial from, and just the free education that they gave me, not just on the job site, but also in the classroom. I did not pay to go to school. They actually paid me to go to school. And I'm so blessed, because one of the things, Donnie, that I think about is I don't care if I don't ever do electric work in right now. Ain't nobody coming to my house hanging no ceiling fan, putting no outlet or things of that nature, because I've learned a skill over that 5 years going through that apprenticeship that nobody can take away from me from that standpoint. So that was a very pivotal point in my life where I really needed some level of a structure. And it was the IBW that was able to hand me the structure that I needed.
Did Rod Easter play a part in your story at all?
Rod Easter is definitely one of the big homies. Like, he's one of the leaders, the shoulders that we stand on, because he was like one of the first when the first crop of Black folks was being accepted into the IBW Local 24. He was one of them. He's retired now, so we see a number of those folks retiring in the last 7-10 years. They were the first, so he's the shoulders that we stand on from that standpoint. He's led in a big way, and he still calls. I think I talked to Rod maybe about a week and a half ago. Just got married, man, so shout out to Rod. Just got married.
As you were mentioning unions, and I'm done, I don't know that you and I have ever talked about Isaac Myers and what he did. You know, they have a museum named after him, but he formed that ship caulkers union.
Yep, I was going to say the caulkers. Yep,
and you're a union man. But that's a part of your story.
Yep.
But he passed the ball. The next president after Isaac Myers was Frederick Douglass, and that, to my understanding, was the beginning of the National Black Labor Union movement.
I would definitely also put in there A. Philip Randolph too.
Yes.
Yeah, the sleeping car porters. Like, it's a very rich history, because you got to remember you had the AFL and then you had the CIO from that standpoint. And like, because Black folks couldn't always get in the union itself, they had to form their own unions from that standpoint, and then eventually beginning to have some level of collective. But there are a number of folks. You mentioned Rod Easter, you mentioned Isaac Myers, but I would also definitely put A. Philip Randolph in that category.
No question, Senator. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Big ups to your wife and your children. Congratulations on the continued progress. I am a witness. I have caught you in the swimming pool at the YMCA on 33rd Street, and I felt really honored to see. You know, we get a bad rap, man. Maybe I spend too much time on social media, sisters talking about the brothers ain't this and brothers ain't that. And they are great brothers that I know. And that's all I want to be. I thought about it. I only associate with dudes who are great dads because they help me to up my game as now a granddad.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, but I don't really hang with cats who ain't in their kid's life. That's you don't talk to your kid. I mean, somewhere along the line, that's going to come up in conversation.
Yeah,
you don't see your kid.
Yeah, it's the world. It's the world to me, but more importantly, I think it makes me the man that I am. Like, they help me with my decision making, especially early on in life.
But absolutely, I know we've talked many times about
my guy Brandon Cruz. You got everybody on here, Donnie. You got everybody popping in. The messages popping in.
But big ups to your moms. I remember the day over there at Clifton Field. That wasn't, well, do you call that Clifton Park?
Clifton Park. You know what? They call it Little Clifton is the school I graduated from, Fairmont Harford. So
I came over there at that announcement. Your mom's was there, your sister was there. And it was a Saturday.
Yep.
Really organized. And you were, people don't know this, that running for office it's one of the scariest things a person can do.
Because
it's like the Olympics.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Any past relationship issues or whatever, anything. And so I can only, thank God for keeping his hand on you, your family, your moms, and all of that. So big ups, you're getting a lot of love over here. But you've been a stand-up dude. And I am proud of you because you are so representative of excellence. And that's all you and I push is excellence. No excuses, no whining.
Right.
No, I've never heard you make excuses.
Just get it done.
But there's one thing, and I just got to put this out there. And you knew it was coming. It's still basketball season. Baseball season. We didn't mention Dunbar.
Dunbar doing their thing, man. We got Principal Reeves down at Dunbar. And when I say that she is lighting that school on fire, she is really, really leading in a way that is very exciting to watch. Jeremy, we tie with Dunbar. We do this apprenticeship tour every year. Jeremy is the community school coordinator, and like Dunbar is doing their thing. And I appreciate her because not only did she do the college signing day, she did the apprenticeship day. Like she down there winning, man. She's been down there like the last 4 or 5 years, and you can really feel the difference that they're making down at Dunbar.
I'm glad she has the leeway because there's been a lot of politics involved in Dunbar principals over the years, and that gets old and tired. We need results.
Yeah.
When I first went to Dunbar, I was there 2 years, 2 years at Poly, but the 2 years at Dunbar, we had Julia B. Woodland. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She was everybody's auntie. Everybody got that one auntie that was Julia B. Woodland. And then the second year, I had Dr. Elsie Gladden.
Okay.
Dr. Gladden, myself, and Paul Lance Dunbar were all born on June 27th.
Wow.
And of course, Elsie Gladden is your former colleague's daddy, Lisa Gladden.
That's what I was going to ask you. Any relation with Senator Gladden?
Oh yeah, that's why I had to help her.
Yeah,
that man was. Hey, that was Big Brother.
No, that's rich history too. That's rich history, man.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, Big Brother. Thank
you. All right, y'all. Y'all stay blessed.
Okay.
Thank you again, Donnie.
Yes, sir. Good evening, world.